In Japanese myth, there's a creature called the Asirayushiki. It's a giant unwashed foot that appears before you and demands to be washed. If you don't wash it, it rampages through your house. Taiwan has become the first country to offer free Wi-Fi to all tourists through over 4,000 hotspots all over the island. The city of New York paid $5 million in 1853 for the land that is Central Park, which is now worth $530 billion. In Japan, there are owl cafes where you can play with live owls while enjoying a drink or meal. There's a Turkish artist named Esraf Armagan who is blind, yet taught himself to write and paint, and has been doing so on his own for the last 35 years. In the US, April 2nd is National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day. Experts believe that New York is home to as many as 800 languages, making it the most linguistically diverse city in the world. In 1938, Walt Disney was awarded an honorary Oscar for Snow White. The statuette that he received came with 7 mini statuettes on a stepped base. It rains diamonds on the planets Uranus and Neptune. The country Brazil is named after a tree. In 2012, a woman from New York named Deborah Stevens donated a kidney to her boss and was fired almost immediately after. There is a spa in India dedicated for only elephants. There's a fish in SpongeBob SquarePants that's been shown in multiple episodes with a clearly shown penis. The world's largest tree house is located in Tennessee and is 10 stories, 10,000 square feet, 900 square meters, took 11 years to make, but cost only $12,000 since it was made of mostly recycled materials. The longest someone has stayed awake continuously is 265 hours, which was in 1964 by a high school student. In 1886, a man named H.H. Holmes built a 3-story hotel in Chicago specifically to kill people in it. Its design included stairways to nowhere and a maze of over 100 windowless rooms, which he used to kill over 200 people. In the city of Mackinac Island, Michigan, all motor vehicles, including cars, have been banned since 1898. You would be a few centimeters taller in space due to gravity. The Pythagorean cup, also known as a greedy cup, is a cup designed to spill its contents if too much wine is poured in, encouraging moderation. Ischemic heart disease and stroke are the world's biggest killers. Ischemic means an inadequate blood supply to an organ. The orca, also known as the killer whale, is actually from the dolphin family. Humans are not appropriate prey for great white sharks because their digestion is too slow to cope with the ratio of bone to muscle and fat. The Ben Franklin effect is a psychological phenomenon where someone who has done a favor for someone else is more likely to do another favor for that person than they would be if they had received a favor from that person. You can actually reshape some babies' ears. Some of them have a condition called liddling, where the top part of the cartilage in the ear is basically folded over, so the top ridge is kind of rounded over. However, there's actually a mold called earwell that can change the shape of your baby's ear in approximately 6 weeks. Monkey brains are considered a delicacy in parts of South Asia, Africa, and China. They're considered an easily digestible substance, often given to children, and there are even entire cookbooks dedicated on how to cook them. In 2013, a dog named Killian saved a baby boy from an abusive babysitter when he alerted his owners by growling and standing between the baby and the sitter whenever she was present. The parents later recorded the abuse and the sitter was convicted. Owen, a baby hippo from Kenya, was swept away from his mother during a tsunami. He then mistook a 130-year-old tortoise for another hippo and the two actually became best friends. The phrase rule of thumb is derived from an Old English law, which stated that you couldn't beat your wife with anything wider than your thumb. The 3 most recognized Western names in China are Jesus Christ, Richard Nixon, and Elvis Presley. A snail spent years glued to a card in the British Museum before they realized it was alive. The book Walden by Henry David Thoreau is often seen as a Bible for self-sufficiency enthusiasts. However, while many picture Thoreau as a hermit in the woods, his cabin on the lake was about a mile from town, where he would often go to visit his mother, who did his laundry for him. The terms left and right politics appeared during the French Revolution of 1789, when members of the National Assembly divided into supporters of the king to the president's right and supporters of the revolution to his left. After a falling out with Ernest Hemingway, Gertrude Stein, who had written the phrase "a rose is a rose is a rose," supposedly received a telegram from Hemingway that read, "A bitch is a bitch is a bitch." Jair, Tolkien created the words dwarvish and dwarves, countering the spelling at the time of the book's publication, which was dwarfish and dwarfs, and many dictionaries now consider this the proper way to spell the words. Rice thrown at weddings poses absolutely no danger to birds. It is just a myth that the rice grains suck up water from the birds' moist innards and cause them to violently burst. In 1913, it was legal to mail children, with stamps attached to their clothing. Children rode trains to their destinations, accompanied by letter carriers. A newspaper reported it cost 53 cents for parents to mail their daughter to her grandparents for a family visit. Sir Geoffrey Hudson, the court dwarf of Charles I, challenged a man who insulted him to a duel on horseback. The man thought it was a joke, and showed up to the duel with a water gun, instead of a real pistol. Unfortunately, Hudson was quite serious and shot the man in the head, killing him. The Playboy Bunny outfit was the first service uniform registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. The movie previews used to be shown at the end of a movie, which is why they are referred to as trailers. In 1968, Kim Il-sung sent 31 commandos to South Korea to try and assassinate the president. After they infiltrated the border, they stumbled on two brothers chopping firewood. They decided to indoctrinate them about the benefits of communism and release them. The brothers notified the police. Former U.S. President Calvin Coolidge, 19 for 28, enjoyed buzzing for his bodyguards and then hiding under his desk as they frantically searched for him. Congressional approval for the first Gulf War was affected by the testimony of a Kuwaiti nurse, who claimed to have witnessed Iraqi soldiers pulling babies out of incubators and throwing them on the floor to die. This never happened. The nurse was not a nurse. She was coached by a PR firm. As a child, Muhammad Ali was refused an autograph by his boxing idol, Sugar Ray Robinson. When Ali became a prizefighter, he vowed never to deny an autograph request, which he honored throughout his career. One of the originally pitched names for Hannah Montana was Alexis Texas. A Catholic bishop named Robert Grosseteste described the birth of the universe in an explosion and the crystallization of matter to form stars and planets in a set of nested spheres around Earth in 1225 AD, about 4 centuries before Newton proposed gravity and 7 centuries before the Big Bang Theory. Sperm whales are so called because their heads are filled with large amounts of oily fluid, which whalers thought was sperm. Scientists still aren't sure what it's there for. The Greek philosopher Aristotle believed that the heart, not the brain, was the seat of mental processes. Sounds as loud as 130 dB can cause pain. The average median amount of sleep each day by university students was 7.75 hours in 1969, 7.13 hours in 1979, 6.75 hours in 1989, 6.65 hours in 2001. Cats can hear sounds in a 10.5 octave range. Humans have a hearing range of about 9.3 octaves. The word neurology was coined by Thomas Willis in 1681. Composer Ludwig van Beethoven may have been poisoned by lead. His hair had lead levels 100 times greater than normal. The number of synapses in the cortex is 0.15 quadrillion. There are approximately 6,800 languages spoken in the world today. Sleepwalking affects 2-14 of all children and 1.6-2.5 of all adults.